This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now. This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now. This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now. This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now. This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now. This is a dangerous.
Hey. Welcome to Sunday Sessions, everyone. It's Divisional Playoff Week. I'm Scott. That's Swank. Down there's Ryan. We've got some Divisional Playoff, the other half of the four. Today, obviously, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are playing. They're playing the Rams. And then our Buffalo Bills are traveling to Missouri to play the Kansas City Chiefs, a 6:30 game. I'm seeing 35 degrees, guys, and sunny. It's going to be a beautiful day. Weather's not going to play an issue. It's a 2.5 game, 2.5 point. I think they're giving Kansas City, and I think the over-under is 55. I know on the show, Sunday Sessions, we like to give you guys the active rosters, but we're not going to know them until later. But I do know the Buffalo Bills are really healthy, other than Mario Addison having a little shoulder issue. And there's a corner, Fenton for Kansas City that's injured, questionable. And obviously the running back Damian Williams is questionable. Guys, introduce yourselves. To my left. You're at my left, Swank, or my right? It doesn't matter.
That's their right. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
I'm
Tell them
next
who
to
you
you.
are, buddy.
Hi, my name's Justin Swank, and on this glorious holiday playoff season, I want you to know that for all of your signature needs, you can go and visit my friend Ryan Hickman at buffaloautographs.com and just make all of your dreams come true. You can follow him at Buffalo Autographs on any platform you want, but you can follow me at Swank247BF on Twitter, and all these 24/7 Buff Fandemonium pages. You got Instagram tweets, you got Facebooks, you got MySpace, you got Makeout Club. There's a lot of them out there. You can go there at 24/7 Buff Fan.
The tweets, huh?
The tweets.
And Ryan Thomas from the Thomas Take Sports podcast is below us down there. Ryan, tell us a little bit about your podcast, what you do there, and then we'll go at it, guys.
Of course, yep. Thanks for the awesome intro. Ryan Thomas here for another episode of Sunday Sessions with Scott and Swank. I'm looking forward to getting into the nitty-gritty of this show. The energy is high this morning. I will say, last night, I'm still shocked. I'm still shocked over that NFC game with the Niners and the Packers. I think I'm still kind of recuperating from that, among many other things, maybe celebrating this victory a little too early. But hey, one Buffalo. I'm ready for this show. You guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Ryan Thomas Take, whether it's my Buffalo Bills content, big fights last night. Francis Ngannou retained his UFC title. I'll be talking about that tomorrow on my show. So check it out. Thomas Take Sports Podcast, Facebook, YouTube streaming live, as well on all podcasting platforms.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, welcome to the show, you two.
Thanks.
I am Scott, the host of Sunday Sessions. You'll find me on Twitter at Scott247BF. Guys, we call this Sunday Sessions. I know playoff time's a lot different. I know Ryan tapped into the cervezas a couple last night. And Swank, did you have a couple drinks last night as well?
No, I took the night off because I pulled a Ryan Thomas on Friday, so
Okay.
I'm ready for it today, though.
There you go. We call this Sunday Sessions because we do open our first beer of the day to celebrate our Buffalo Bills playing. Not only just playing, guys, they're playing in the divisional playoff game with a lot of implications, guys, considering what happened yesterday with the Bengals upsetting. I call it an upset, Tennessee. Maybe the effects of the bye week. I don't know what happened, but I needed Burrow to have 2 touchdown passes to win some big money, and he didn't have one. But guys, since 1992 was the last time. I honestly thought it was the Raiders the last time the Bills hosted an AFC Championship game in 91, where they killed them 51-3. It was actually the next year. That was the last time against Denver. They won 10-7. I was just reminding these guys. Remember Carlton Bailey, linebacker? He made one of those Taron Johnson plays, right? Really didn't know about him until he made that big interception for a touchdown that put the Bills up top. But guys, it's been 18, 19 years since we've hosted. 29.
Yeah, that was the year I was
29
born.
years.
That's the year I was still in the oven at that point, as they say. So it's been a bit, to go from being in the oven to all these years later. I'm here with you guys. Let's hope we can, make some history.
Hell yeah. I think,
so guys, we have potentially of having that AFC Championship game. We have to handle our own business, but we can host an AFC Championship football game next week against the Bengals. That'll be freaking huge. You can go to that game?
So I have the opportunity to go. One of my buddies, his mom is a season ticket holder. She's going to give us the tickets if it happens. So I'm sorry that usually I have shit luck. I always say that I used up all the good luck I had on my wife because she's amazing. And now I will live a life of bad luck just so I can be with her. No, man, I think this it's funny when I was watching that Titans-Bengals game, because obviously you're rooting for the Bengals to win, right? Because we want to host it here. It didn't really matter. I guess, people had the revenge tour thing in mind. To me, if they win today, they have beaten the hardest team to beat that is left in the playoffs.
Yep.
I think that if this would happen the right way, and I'm not trying to put the cart before the horse, but if they got to host the Bengals at home, I'd see them just cruising into that spot. The way that the Bengals and the Titans were playing yesterday, the whole day I was like, we could beat either of these teams, handedly, And I think Joe Burrow finally started to show a little bit of what we were talking about like a week or two ago, Scott, where it was like it looked too big for him several times. It looked way too big for him, and that line could not stop him from getting destroyed. And when he was about to get destroyed, he was running the wrong way and didn't want to give up that interception. A little reminiscent of Josh, his first season. But still, like, man, after getting cracked that 9th time, you'd think you'd throw the damn ball away or step up in the pocket and at least not take a loss, right?
9 sacks. Yeah. How do you get 9 sacks and still lose a game?
Ooh, I don't know.
Tennessee. No.
Two words. Ryan Tannehill.
There you go.
You know, that's the other side of the coin. You know, it's crazy too. Just to interject, as you guys were saying, you know, Burrow got hit often. You know, he didn't even just get sacked 9 times. He got hit often, moved often, and it's crazy to say that. You know, the first thing that I thought of while watching that game yesterday is kind of the end of Swank's point, is it reminded me of not only Allen in his rookie year, but Allen in that first playoff game against Houston, where you can see the pieces coming together with Cincinnati. Yeah. But this was case in point. I think if Ryan Tannehill didn't throw the 3 interceptions that he did, maybe if he only threw one of the interceptions that he did, Tennessee would have won this game. You know, this would have been a win, I think, for Tennessee. But you know, it's funny, these number 1 seeds, when they changed the playoff brackets and they have only one team as the 1 seed now. You know, a lot of teams said, "Oh, this is such a huge advantage." I actually think it's more of a disadvantage to only have one number 1 seed, who is the only team that has that 1 week off. And Tennessee was not really finding, I mean, they went 6-2 without Henry, but they didn't really know what their true identity was without him. And they get him back at less than probably 70%, I'd say. I'd say he's 100, but he's probably not. And they just don't have that quarterback that can win in those big moments. And I think Ryan Tannehill's proven that. I think he's good. At his best, he's good, but he's certainly not great. And I wouldn't say he's below average. I'd say at best fair or good. And I think we saw that yesterday.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Tennessee, it almost seemed like they didn't know how to treat Henry. As far as play calls were questionable, there was that big 3rd down play call, 3rd and 1, that they went shotgun and ran an RPO. You know, and when you got Henry as a running back, guys, you need to use him to get that 1 yard. And there was only 6 minutes left in the game. That potentially could have either the chances of them scoring would have grown significantly and winning would have grown significantly. But the big plays during big downs. I mean, obviously, the Bengals had a lot more better plays during bigger, crucial moments, but Tennessee had more yards and all that stuff, but they just didn't do it when it counted.
It didn't seem like the Bengals were methodical about these plays that they were breaking off, though. It all seemed very random and as much luck that you could get for it to break even. And Jamar Chase, I think, is an extreme talent. I think that he is not humbled yet. I think he's got a big ego. I think Joe Burrow also has a huge ego. His presser after the game, like, I just imagine what Josh does, because I think Josh, and I know I'm biased, but we've waited for this guy for 20 years. The way he answers questions, whether he's won or lost, is the same. It's never like, you know, we did what we had to do. It's always like, I know we did some good after the Patriots game. I know we did some good things, but there's always stuff that we can work on. We got stuff we got to clean up for next week. And it's like, you played a perfect game, dude. Like, I want that response, though. I want those responses all the way up until they're hoisting that trophy, and then show it if you want, right? But I think a lot of that stuff with like Joe Burrow and Chase, that might like limit the timeline for them to actually get further than they want. Like, I'd say this might be like a little bit of a lightning in a bottle season for them. They might have a regression next year, and then start to be like true like competitors for like the AFC. I think with the Titans, the way they were using Henry, you could tell he was banged up.
Yep.
Like that one big run and the touchdown run, and then other than that, they had his number all day. Losses, you know, it just, he didn't look the same. And they had that 45, was it? Well, whoever spells him, back there. He broke off that one big run, and then the very next play, Tannenhill fumbles or throws a pick or whatever. It's just Tannenhill is who we thought he was.
We like saying that on this show.
He is who we thought he was. Yeah, and I definitely think too, like to Swank's point about like the mentality of the Bengals. I think a lot of it is just the simple fact that they're such a young team, and a lot of those guys had not just a little bit of collegiate success, they had a lot of collegiate success.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they're coming into the NFL like Burrow and Chase, namely, together, former LSU teammates, and they're just trying to bring like this new age swagger to not only the Bengals but to the league. And I think it's a little bit too big for their britches. I understand they're in the AFC title game now and they just took down the 1 seed, but pump the brakes a little. I think there needs to be that competitive morale that, hey, we got past this team. We got to face either KC or Buffalo next. And realistically, this game between the Bills and the Chiefs is the AFC Super Bowl. These are the two best teams in the AFC. We knew it all year long. We knew it before the season started that, last year KC and Buffalo was in the AFC Championship for a reason. This year, the seeding went a little bit differently, and we're facing each other in the AFC division round. I'd say that Tennessee and Cincinnati should thank their lucky stars that they didn't have to play either one of these teams in the AFC divisional round, because I think Buffalo would beat either one of these teams in the divisional round as well as KC. So
the brakes right off them 100%.
Yep.
Right.
And I like that you mentioned pump the brakes. Because Burrow and Chase and Higgins, you guys haven't ran into the Bills' number one defense yet. No. You haven't competed against our corners and our safeties. So a lot will be told if the Bills lose, and then the brakes will definitely be slammed upon next week if we're hosting them. Guys, I do not want to forget. I want to thank the Fandemonium for joining in already, guys. You guys are killing it. Paulette, Paul, Rossi, Josh Hoffmeister, Josh Cook is with us. David Guthrie.
All the way from Kansas City, man. He's down at the
KC,
game.
Josh. Yep, Josh Cook's down there in KC. Got a nice little hook up there in the room. You see that little upgrade he got there?
Yeah, man. It's like The Hangover, which is probably going to be the name of this weekend for Josh.
Yep. Debbie Emerton, Sean Adams. Let's see, we got a bunch of names on here. The reason, Mary Monford, welcome everyone. You guys are killing it like you always do. I do want to remind you, Swank mentioned his name earlier at Buffalo Autographs. Ryan Hickman, www.buffaloautographs.com. They are sponsoring the show because we are having a giveaway. Currently, if you leave a comment during the show, you will be entered on the Fandemonium Wheel of Destiny for a chance to win that 8x10 sweet little Devin Singletary glossy photo. Autograph, COA stickers on it. It's a beautiful thing.
Compliments of our friends from BuffaloAutographs.com. Buffalo Autographs. When you need an auto, get it graphed from BuffaloAutographs.com.
Commercial break. Oh, we're back. So, guys, the main reason why we do the show is the pregame, our game. The Kansas City Chiefs, guys. We've traveled. Let's not forget, guys, the last time we played them wasn't that AFC Championship game, and I think a lot of fans are forgetting that we played them this week in Week 5, 38-20. We look great on defense. 18 points is a significant spread between those two offenses. Mahomes looked like he was figured out. The run, there's little razzle-dazzle plays were figured out. We drafted a guy for that game, for that team, and Russo, his lengthy arms, his tall body, his ability to deflect balls and wreak havoc. That's why we got him, and he had a great game that week. We played him once.
His first career pick, right? Against Patrick Mahomes.
Yep. A pass defense pick. It was an amazing thing while they were going on their way and going and scoring a touchdown. We held Mahomes to 2 touchdowns that game. We played great, and it was this year against their starters. The only difference that they have is Chris Jones is back, and the only difference we have is that we have Latulier back, we have Matt Milano back, and our defensive line is gelled together to where they are probably, because of the safeties we have, it's hard to say, but they're probably the gel of that defense, very close to that secondary now, the way they're coming together. Guys, let's talk about Kansas City Buffalo Bills. What's exciting you guys about this game? Talk about it.
What's exciting me about this game, what's not exciting me about this game, and I kind of alluded to it earlier, KC and Buffalo, these are the 2 best teams in the AFC, 2 of the best teams in the NFL. I always like to take 2 teams from each conference and say those are the 4 best. I think that's a fair thing to do in this league. And Mahomes and Allen, it's the rivalry that I think A lot of people are starting to give it the credit that it's due based on the skill sets of both players, not just Pat Mahomes, but Josh Allen as well. That, Mahomes and Allen could be the Brady Manning type rivalry that the league has missed since Peyton Manning, retired from Denver and went on to Canton to be a Hall of Famer. So, this game has everything that you would want. This game has two offenses that can score. This game does have two defenses that, when push comes to shove, they can show up. Even though KC isn't as ranked as highly as Buffalo, there are moments throughout this year where KC's been a little underrated defensively in certain moments this year. So I think this one, comparing it to week 5, I think we have to do that because it was a 38-20 win. Pat Mahomes is human. He does have blood in his veins, folks. He's not a robot. He's not a cyborg. He's not Clark Kent going into a phone booth and turning into Superman. I think there's a way to beat him, and I think that the blueprint was put out in the Super Bowl last year by Tampa Bay, and I think it has kind of had this residual effect that a lot of teams are trying to copy. It's a copycat league, and I think we're going to see Buffalo try to implement as much pressure on Mahomes as possible. But the main factor for me, you mentioned the guys that weren't on this team week 5.
Mm-hmm.
One of the guys that was on the team in week 5 healthy was Trey White. And we know that he's not going to be out there. So I think for me, the biggest spotlight in this game is how this Buffalo Bills defense can and will and could cover, the potent weapon of Tyreek Hill and Mecole Hardman, who I think is just scratched the surface of his potential.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy that is the bread and butter of this Chiefs offense to me has always been Travis Kelce. Not so much Tyreek Hill. So covering those guys, it's a tall task. That's why KC has the offense that they do. I think that's the biggest question. How will Buffalo, cover and attack defensively those weapons that KC has? If we do that well, I think that this is a great victory for the Bills. If we have some adversity there, it could be a close one.
I mean, they scorched us last year in the AFC Championship game. They both had over 100 yards receiving and had a ton of targets and a ton of catches. So, you're right. Real quick, I want to mention, you did mention the Brady Manning rivalry, which is a huge one. And we all know about it because that was 10 years of rivalry football. David Guthrie said this is a great start of a great rivalry. What has to happen, though? I mean, we did beat Mahomes in the regular season, yes. But in order for this to actually become a Brady Manning rivalry, is that Allen has to win a playoff game against them. It can't be just one-sided in the playoffs when the games actually matter. It has to be vice versa. It has to be a battle back and forth. You can't have all the notches on your shillelagh with your 4-0, 5-0 record against the other quarterback, because then you could throw that whole rivalry talk out the window.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
Shillelagh?
I agree with that too. The one thing I'll just chime in there with the Manning-Brady rivalry, it took Peyton Manning like 5 to 8 years to beat Tom Brady in Foxborough. It took Josh Allen 2 to beat Pat Mahomes at Arrowhead. So, this is a winnable game. This is a game that I think we can win. I have faith in the team. Swank, the floor is yours.
Oh, God. I think the biggest thing right now, if you're looking at last year's playoff game and this year's playoff game, the Bills are rolling in a different aspect than they were last year, right? So they kind of had that middling part of the season, and then all of a sudden Tampa Bay happened, and they lost that game in overtime, but stuff was really starting to click and fire. They started to find a little bit more of an identity on offense. That defensive line started shoring up, and they were finding ways to win games without Tre'Davious White and still holding on to that number 1 defense title and passing and every other aspect that they're in, right? I think the big thing for this year is they are 100% healthy coming into this game. They're able to get pressure with their front 4, which is how they beat Patrick Mahomes last time. What they're saying about Mahomes is that he's now evolved halfway through the season to be willing to take what the defense is giving him. So he's doing all these short little screeners and like dumping off and blah, blah, blah. I think that these two teams are very similar in the fact that they've started to utilize weapons that maybe they didn't have before. And I think that a huge part of this game is going to be McKinnon and our boy Isaiah McKenzie. on either side respectfully in the same roles that they're playing on each side of that ball, because it's like this scat back, alternative running back, wide receiver combo that we've been championing for McKenzie ever since they stopped doing it last year. And we see how it works. We saw how it works against the Patriots. It's always worked. And I'll give credit to one of the people I don't normally give credit to. And a lot of us don't give credit to. Oh, yeah, right. Brian Dable, man, called the best game of his entire career last week. 100% the best game I've ever seen him play, and it was executed perfectly. And if he can continue that and not get distracted by all these coaching interviews that he's had and everything, and know that there's still a Super Bowl on the table, which is only 3 games away, if you're counting, I think that they could manhandle this team. But it's really, I think it's going to come down to, can you stop McKinnon? Can you get pressure on Patrick Mahomes with 4 guys?
No, yeah. I agree with you. And the way that they were able to contain the gadget plays the week 5, I don't see anything new or any changes. And like you said in the K-Gun report last week, Swank, the more they put a lot out on tape as far as their gadget plays with McKinnon and Tyreek Hill. They put a lot out on tape for gadgets, and the Bills are going to just roll off what they got from week 5 and from last week. So as far as gadget plays, I think they'll be able to handle those type of plays. But yeah, I mean, that's a dangerous offense, a very dangerous offense. And I've said, I know they like to say that Mahomes is coming in to his, let's let the defense dictate how he's going to play, take what the defense is giving him. I'm finding that the more that you do take away those gadget plays and those screens and those quick hits and those jet sweeps, Mahomes is a duck back there. He's not making the right calls. He's not making the right reads. Some of his balls are off, and I think he's really not, I hate to say it, but he's really not that good if he has to be a quarterback in the NFL.
If he has to stay in the pocket and he has to be decisive for more than like a couple seconds. So like the whole thing that I think made him dangerous in the beginning was he would extend plays, wait for wide receivers to beat corners, like we always say on the K-Gun report. Cornerbacks will lose all the time if it goes longer than 6 seconds. There's no way that somebody can cover a wide receiver to where he's not open. So I think what's happening now is the coverage is getting better. People are finding a way to get pressure, and he's back there and he doesn't know what to do, because aside from that, they're containing what he can do with his feet. So it's a complicated thing, man. He's like what Colin Kaepernick like wanted to be, I think, right? Like he's like that guy. I mean, he's way more athletic and all that stuff. But when this offense kind of made its appearance on the scene, and you had Kaepernick taking the 49ers to the Super Bowl and then showing why that offense doesn't work, you know what I mean? And you have to be more dimensional, like an Andy Reid who can develop plays with a guy that can throw it a mile and also run. Josh Allen too. You know, it's just funny, but there is a point where none of that works, you know? Like the NFL is trendy. Pocket passers have made it a long way in this league, but now you're finding that you have to have a little bit more than a pocket passer. You know, you have to have that little extra threat if you're going to compete with like these new freak giant quarterbacks in this league. Like it has to be just a little bit more. So I don't know. I really hope they go in there and just make a statement, man. It's like, it just feels like this is it. All the last appearances and Josh Allen's like, you know, growth and the team's growth and the way it ended last year, like it feels like this is that Rocky moment, you know, where like they need to go in and just whoop ass.
Yeah, that was a great reference too. This is Rocky 2. This is Rocky 2. We went the distance with them, and I think we did go the distance with them in the AFC title game last year. People, you know, look at that game and are like, oh, we got blown out. I don't think so. There was a couple plays that would have made that game a completely different game. And this is the moment where it's like, okay, we get our second shot to sees our destiny, and can we get it done? As well, you mentioned Mahomes and his skills and how they've kind of forced the opposing defenses have forced his skills to change in terms of when Pat Mahomes is outside of the pocket, when Pat Mahomes is allowed to improvise, there is nobody better in the league right now. I love Josh Allen. I love him to death. You guys know that.
Yeah.
But in terms of what Mahomes has accomplished in comparison, he's accomplished within that skill set more thus far. It doesn't mean he will by the end of their careers. We'll be talking about that 10, 15 years from now.
20,
but
yeah.
20, but yeah, maybe 30. I don't know. Tom Brady pull it off.
with medicine nowadays, you never know.
You never know. But I think that Mahomes is somebody that they forced him to be that conventional quarterback, and that's where his skills, he's not used to being in that skill set because he has had a lot of success being outside of that skill set to make him the player that he is. So to force him into that skill set and make him somewhat of a bland, basic quarterback, he doesn't like that. He doesn't like to have to choose who to get the ball to, because honestly, it's almost a problem to have as much talent as they have on that offense, because you look at it in terms of who do you get the ball to? Who's the best guy to get the ball to? And you take your pick if you're him. But I think that this game, to just the way I look at both rosters, I think you will have to see rushing offense from both offenses. As crazy as that sounds, given all the names we've thrown out there, McKenzie and Diggs and Knox and all those guys on Buffalo's team, and Hill and Kelsey, I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire being active for this one is big for Kansas City. Yep. But Buffalo having this resurgence of Devin Singletary these last few weeks with multiple touchdowns each week, I want more of that. I want Mahomes sitting on the sideline. That's where he's at his worst. Yeah. We control that time of possession with Devin Singletary or Josh Allen or McKenzie, to Swank's point, in like a Deebo Samuel type role. That's what can be the ingredients towards making this game our game, rather than worrying about what they're going to do. Let's make this game our game and win it our way and dictate the pace of the game. And I think that that's a big difference from what a lot of fans look at it. It's so how are we going to combat KC? Now we're going to do our thing, and whatever they do is what they do.
Yeah, I love that. I don't know. I think that the end of last season, even halfway through last season, you started to see like this identity form with the Bills, that you were like, if you have just a little bit more time, you should be able to go into any stadium and play any team and say, this is what we're going to do, and you cannot stop us. You can know what we're doing, and it doesn't matter, because we're going to out-physical you in the trenches, and we're going to outplay you with the plays that we know work, because we have the guys that fit the scheme, blah, 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 blah. And I love that. I love that take, man. Like, just go in and do what you do, just like you did last week.
I was going to say, they did that last week.
Because we're past the point, guys, where we don't need to wonder what our identity is. Right now, the Cincinnati Bengals, despite the fact that they're in the AFC title game, I don't know what their identity is. I don't know if they're a run-first team or a pass-first team. Buffalo was at that point, too, for a little bit. Now we know what our identity is. And I think that's, if we play within our identity, we can beat anybody. And I think we've seen that throughout this year in spades.
Ryan, I like you had a little segue in there when you're talking about Singletary. You see that image of Diggs, right, at the AFC Championship game last year. You see the image of Coach McDermott coming out and, holding him, hugging him, saying, we got it. You see the video of Josh Allen walking around the sidelines and giving everybody on those sidelines a hug. What you forget is, to both your points about how we've got an identity and Singletary's involved, was what you forget was, after that game, Singletary's job was put in question.
100%.
Right? So it wasn't just these wide receivers, Diggs, Allen, and all this, that emotional part of it that everyone is glued to. Let's remember Singletary's job was put on notice. Let's remember that he worked his ass off this offseason for this moment. And now all of a sudden, these last 4 or 5 weeks, we have an 80-plus yard rusher a game that's wreaking havoc with these falling forward every time he gets touched, and he is just being a running back that we've all wanted all season. He's been there. Just the plays haven't been there. Let's not forget about him and that dynamic running game that we were ranked 5th at the end of the season. A lot of people don't know that. 5th running offense at the end of the season. I'm excited about the emotional part of Singletary in this game because you were talking about some key plays that were missed in the AFC Championship game. He dropped a couple balls that he was knocked for. You know what I mean? So it's the Bills did the correct moves in drafting Rousseau, like I said earlier, in helping contain Mahomes. It's the Diggs revenge. It's the revenge tour. It's Singletary coming back and saying, listen, my job was put on notice last year because of this team in this scenario. Everything is putting into place for this team to just keep rolling. Well, I could see that happening.
And they've figured out their offensive line now too. You know what I mean? And a lot of people have been talking a big game about Chris Jones coming back and him actually being able to move out to the outside where he's a better player, more productive player because they have Ingram now. That might have like shook me a little bit like week 11 or 10. Right now, this offensive line, like the thing is, you can't tell me anything about this offensive line because they have beaten the best defenses in the last couple weeks that you could possibly face. You know, like if you're saying you're on the Patriots bandwagon in their train, they had the number 2 defense in the league, and they did nothing. Mm-hmm. Absolutely nothing. We did whatever we wanted that whole game. So if you're telling me the combination of Chris Jones and Mark Ingram and a Chiefs defense that had no identity to begin the season, and I mean, obviously I have respect for these guys and their NFL players, and you got the Honey Badger back there, who I think is a fun guy to watch. But
good player,
very good player. But we threw all over him. Yeah, you know, week 5. I think there's nothing to be scared about right now. All it is 2 good football teams playing each other down to the wire, and I think if you're looking at it from an outsider's perspective, without taking anything previous into account, roster to roster, I think the Bills have it. Like, I think the defense is what's going to be the difference in this whole game.
It's the Bills' defense against the Chiefs' offense because Buffalo's offense can beat the Chiefs' defense. I have more faith in that. And the matchup comes down to that because I think the Chiefs' offense – I'm not saying the Chiefs' offense is better than Buffalo's, but just the matchup in and of itself, X's and O's wise, is within just those two, just that. Yeah. The Bills' defense versus the Chiefs' offense, and I think too, to your point in regards to just the Bills in this matchup, Pat Mahomes is somebody that I think knows this year has been much tougher than any other year of his career. And I think Andy Reid knows that this year has been much tougher than almost any, because going into it, so many people looked at the Chiefs schedule and was like, win. The Chiefs have been more vulnerable this year than they have been in the Andy Reid era, I think. And it's going to be interesting to see what Buffalo does to attack that. And in terms of how we go about putting our game out there, I think Devin Singletary is a huge factor. To Scott's point, last year in that AFC title game, Singletary was somebody that fans, myself included, throughout the season, is like, where's the run game? Why is the run game not going? Is it Singletary? Is it the line? I always had faith in Singletary's skills. It wasn't there. You had to wonder what the heck's going on with that. And you make those adjustments on the line. You bring in Bates, as a guard. You have Spencer Brown as a tackle, Darrell Williams as a guard. And this offensive line has been physical. They've opened holes, but even better than that, within opening up those holes, Devin Singletary has actually created his own holes using vision, using timing, jump cuts, jump cutting out of a hole into another hole, creating green grass in front of him. Those are things that separate a good back from a future elite back. And for me to say those words, a lot of Bills Mafia will say, wow, that's a bold statement. But hey, if Devin Singletary would have got touches earlier in the season, this is a 1,000-yard running back. This is a guy that would have over 1,000 rushing yards. Yep. And Josh Allen had almost 800 rushing yards. Right. So this team can run the football. It's just a matter of implementing that and sticking to it. And will they do that against KC? I think they will, and I think they can.
I mean, we can have a whole show about Singletary, about getting his carries. Obviously, goal line carries were taken away from him with Moss and Allen, right? And people say, oh, he had 7 at the end of the season, which is pretty respectable. You give him 250, 300 carries like the rest of these top 10 running backs get, then you're right. He's a 1,500-yard rusher. Are you going to complain then? Would you rather have him have 1,500 yards or have Josh Allen do what he's been doing with Diggs, Beasley, and Davis? You can't have both.
Yeah.
Right. There's only one football.
Yeah.
As KC knows, there's only one football out there.
Yep.
All right, fellas, we're going to talk about score predictions and all that stuff, but I do want to throw this out there. Fandemonium, a reminder, leave a comment. You're entered to win that 8x10 Singletary since we're talking about him. Our sponsor, Buffalo Autographs Facebook page, is helping us give that away to you fans. And then if you have bad luck and you don't win anything, check out www.buffaloautographs.com. You can straight up buy it. This whole talk about, and I was telling Swank before the show started, I saw it. I glanced over it a couple times. I saw a couple pictures, but I really didn't know the story behind the sweet potato, the good luck sweet potato. And, long story short, Swank, can you tell us a long story short real quick?
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys have seen this or not. And Matt Perino put out a great article kind of explaining it. But over the last couple days, if you're a follower of Brother Bill, as I am, because I think he's great, and I'm looking forward to catching up. I'm sure his wake-up video is out as we speak. There was a situation where this guy named Gary, who I think is a season ticket holder, was tailgating before the Falcons game. He went into his car for something and saw a sweet potato there. Didn't know how it got there because they weren't cooking it. Must have fell out during groceries or something. He grabs it, puts it in his pocket, thinks, wouldn't it be funny if I brought it into the stadium? And completely forgot about it. And then when the Falcons were losing, and he went and reached in his pocket to get his phone and pulled out a sweet potato. So now, in good-humored, ridiculous Bills Mafia fashion, now it's a thing. He's going to bring it into every game, so he brings it to the Jets game. They win. 2-time could be a coincidence. Third time, he brings it to the Patriots wild card. They win, and it's a beacon of hope and light. And it's a superstition that he can't let go of, right? So the story starts to leak out a little bit. Brother Bill takes a hold of it, and then the whole Bills Mafia world just goes insane. And it's, we got to smuggle sweet potatoes into Arrowhead for today's game. The funniest thing to me is that, it's just like this innocent joke thing. It's very Bills Mafia, right? It's weird and it's funny and it's fun is like the biggest thing, right? Everybody's jumping on it. All of a sudden, the Chiefs fans started getting on it. And then we're a bunch of loser, weirdo, whack jobs. Like, we're ridiculous. Like, a lot of insults coming our way to the point where they even tagged the Chiefs in a post about the sweet potatoes, warning the Chiefs that there was going to be this incident. And Gary or Brother Bill replied back and said, what is the big deal about this? And the guy that reported to the Chiefs was like, it's illegal. It's illegal to smuggle a sweet potato into the stadium, and they're worried everybody's gonna get drunk, and it's a projectile and all this ridiculous shit. But of course, the community has just embraced it. Like Wegmans has like their sweet potato section with a sign on it that says "Don't forget your good luck charm for KC this weekend." And it's all these puns about like sweet potatoes and yams and lists ranking what the best use for sweet potatoes are. Just it's
candied sweet potatoes.
Yeah, it's very fun. If you haven't seen it, actually Matt Perino,
it's awesome. He
posted a link to the article in our 24/7 Buff Fandemonium group, so you can check it all out there. But it's funny, and the NFL doesn't know how to take us, man.
No, they don't. They don't. Matt Perino, one of my favorite content guys. I dubbed him on Twitter for special thanks a while ago, Swank, when we did that, because there are a lot of content guys out there, and he's definitely one of the top guys for me. But yeah, the funny thing about the potato, I remember you saying, is that the fact that it almost looks like Josh Allen's original picture of the Buffalo Bills thing that he drew.
Yeah.
The potato looks like that. So why I brought this up is I don't want to talk about this year's good luck, because once you start telling people about your good luck charm this year, that luck's going to run out. So Swank and Ryan, did you ever do anything, carry anything with you for Buffalo Bills that you considered your good luck charm and didn't want to change at all?
When I was younger,
Yes.
yeah, I had oh, go ahead, Ryan. You do it.
Oh yeah. So for me, what made me a Buffalo Bills fan, what really got me interested as a Buffalo Bills fan into the Bills, growing up in Lockport, right outside of Buffalo, was the whole Johnson Flutie controversy, quarterback controversy. Which to me, I never thought it was a controversy. I was a Flutie guy through and through. For obvious reasons, I've always been notoriously short, as was Doug Flutie. So it's like, okay, if he can do it, maybe I can think I can do it. And I hope he can do it and gets the chance and all that stuff. So for years, I would wear this. It was like a sweatshirt that it was a Buffalo Bills sweatshirt that had just 7 and it had like his sewn autograph that was part of the design.
Oh, sweet.
And I wore that from when I was in, it was like kindergarten to like 2nd, 3rd grade. Once I reached 3rd grade, that went to like my little cousin, you know, that could fit it. So that was like my superstition then in that era. And then once the Drew Bledsoe era came along, I wore my Drew, actually, and I think that was in my 6th grade year when Drew Bledsoe came to Buffalo. Everybody, the whole school that was Bills fans, of course, we made like a pact to wear Drew Bledsoe jerseys during our picture day. And
There you go.
so many kids did it. I'm talking like 100 kids, 200
That's
kids
awesome.
in my class. So that was really cool. Out of Emmett Belknap Middle School. It's a 5th and 6th grade school now, but when I was there, it was 6th, 7th, and 8th. So shout out to them.
Shout out to them.
That was one of them. And then obviously now away game, it's the white jersey. Home game, it's the blue jersey. Usually that's the superstition for current game days.
Yep. Swank, other than your He-Man undershorts that you wear all the time, what's your good luck?
Well, that's more just to label it appropriate. You know what I mean? It's anymore. I'm going pretty simple. You know, it's always Bills gear on game day. I'm usually wearing something regardless. Maybe not with the cold weather to work, because I work in like kind of grungy conditions, so I'm not looking to like get any of my nice stuff bad. But I'm a firm believer in rocking something Buffalo Bills, win or lose the next day. And I know that's kind of like a post tradition, superstition thing, but I think for me, it's like it means more because when I was a kid, I just wanted to wear it all the time. Like the winning and the losing, it meant a lot, but it didn't mean as much as it does now, because I think I realize like the weight of it now, right? So all through that time, like I was just a Bills fan, and that's what I identified with. So whether they won or lost, I was rocking with my guys the next day, you know, and I'd get picked on or I'd get like high-fived, and it just depended. But it didn't matter to me because it was like, this is me and this is who I am. So that was more then. I mean, when I was real little, I used to like, you know, I had like a little Andre Reed action figure, which I wish I still had in like the plastic and never took it out. But like, you know, I'd like make sure that I gave him like a nice little rub on the helmet every once in a while, you know what I'm saying? And other, you know, dumb little stuff like that. But probably just like rocking the gear the day after.
See, mine was never an actual object, and I think growing up being a Bills fan, you know, in the 90s and all that stuff. And Swank, I know you're right here along with Jared and myself. And you don't think it's a superstition, but it definitely feels like one. How optimistic we are, and this is why we came up with the page 24/7 Buff Fandemonium, because we were kind of not only we wanted to do our own thing, but we're tired of some of the other sites that get negative really fast.
Yeah,
we are really
Correct.
Optimistic, Ryan. I don't know if you notice about us.
Yeah. That's what I love about the show.
Our
sure.
superstition, I believe, and it's always been my superstition, is going along with wearing the Buffalo Bills support after loss and all that stuff. Is the more you practice it, the more it comes into its own. If you're always positive and optimistic, it not only makes you feel good, but it spreads. The love spreads, the optimism spreads, and it's one of those things that it's not an object. It's my good luck is the fact that I'm always optimistic. I'm always thinking we can go 0-15. We're going to win that last game. Always doing that, and that makes for good conversation, and it makes for good fanhood for sure.
Well, what's the point in rooting for a team and loving a team and spending as much time as you do invested in reading and watching and listening and all that stuff and spending money. What is the point in doing all that and then being like, well, we're not gonna win, you know? like I don't know how many people we know, like even on like that group chat that we had for a while there, and like now the one that we do, like we host, is nice, but like I don't know, before I joined the page, how many times my buddies in the third quarter would text me and be like, well, we're not going to win this game, or we're not going to like hold on to this lead, or this is it, and this is over, this guy's career is over. And it's like, do you want to know the last thing that I want to hear from anyone during a Bills game is that they suck and they're going to lose? Because
boohoo bullshit.
You know, it's I always compare it to the greatest comeback. Right? Yep. And if that was done in...
And that might be why.
Yeah.
I think that is why. I was about to say that.
Anything's possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
And on the flip side of that coin, we've been on the other side of that so often during history, you know, like the miracle and wide right and all that stuff, to where like we know that it's not guaranteed. We know that anything can happen. Like, there's no point in like spouting off the, like, if the comeback happened during the cell phone era and social media, can you imagine, dude? Can you imagine what like the first half of that game's comments and how many people, that's it, this game's over, and I hate this team and this guy should be fired and blah, blah, blah. And then all those 100,000 people that claim that they never left the stadium and they were sitting front row to watch the greatest
10 million fans in attendance.
Yeah, and they all come back on Twitter like, I told you they were going to win, or whatever.
I was there. I'm like, you were not there. You were not there. I know you were
on your
there.
way out. Who just caught a touchdown? BB caught it. We got the ball back?
I gave Bruce Smith a pep talk. Don't worry. It was great.
My dad makes that joke. Like, me and my dad say that too. Like, whenever we talk about the comeback game, he's like, I was there. And I'm like, I know you weren't there. But he says that like, I was there. You know, like everyone says I was there. It's hilarious. It's awesome.
My brother and I were outside playing football in the snow. My dad looks out the sliding glass door. He goes, you guys might want to come in here. And the rest is history, man. I mean, that was such a good comeback. And like I said, I think that's probably the reason why we're always optimistic. Guys, we're going to go over those score predictions and your bold prediction X factors. Let's have at it. It's a big game, guys. Divisional football game. This is, a lot of people will say that this is the playoff game of this is the AFC Championship for sure. Let us know what you think, Swank.
Well, I'm going with my heart, and I'm gonna say Bills are gonna win. And I said 35-17 on Tuesday. And I said 38-17 on Tuesday, and I think I'm going to stick to my guns on that. I think that they're going to have to at least score 30 to make anybody's blood pressure go down even a couple points. I think boldly, I want to see balance. No, I make that joke almost every week. Balanced game. My bold prediction is that Josh is going to be methodical, surgical, and he's going to have at least 3 passing touchdowns. And I think that Singletary is going to go for over 100 and maybe have one more on it. X factor wise, man, I think it's all going to be on the safeties and the linebackers today for me. I think if the front line can do their job, those safeties and linebackers, they have to like be on their check down game and those little stupid shovel passes that he does and all that stuff. So I think that's where I'm at with this game. God damn, I want him to win so bad.
You ain't kidding. I think we got, 6 hours now before that game starts.
Oh, good. No time at all.
Oh. Thomas, give us your take.
This is the high blood pressure segment from Ryan Thomas on the 24/7 Buff Fandemonium Sunday sessions. I had these sunglasses on the entire show for a reason, but I took them off for a reason. I'm going to look right into the camera as I say this. My score prediction, I think this is going to be a classic game featuring 2 really good teams. I think it's important as well as a sports fan to tip your cap, acknowledge the opponent. and pay them the respect prior to the game and after the game. Win, lose, or draw. I think that's part of sportsmanship and sport in general. So I will acknowledge that KC's a great team. This is going to be a great game, but I think Buffalo will get it done. I think it's going to be close, 37-31. But I think that KC is going to be playing catch up for maybe the majority of the second half. And I'm going to tell you why, falling into my bold prediction.
Oh, nice.
Bold prediction is Sean McDermott was on CNN talking with Wolf Blitzer. I don't know if you guys caught that segment. It's the only time
I was a huge fan, huge Bills fan.
Huge fan. That's the only time I'd ever want to watch CNN for any reason. Was that segment? I'll throw that out there.
With you,
but Sean McDermott's on there and he's talking about this, the fact that there were 0 Pro Bowl defenders on this defense voted as Pro Bowlers. I think a lot of people are going to be eating crow on that, and I think this is going to be the game that this Buffalo Bills defense has 2, maybe 3 turnovers forced in this game. Maybe Tremaine Edmonds gets a pick. Maybe Jordan Poyer gets a pick. Maybe Micah Hyde gets another pick. I think that this defense is going to show up and show out in this game and lead Buffalo to victory, proving that, hey, y'all must have forgot that this defense is pretty good, and we're going to win this game because of it.
Hell yeah.
I agree 110%. I had, as part of my bold prediction, I'm right with you there, Ryan. My score prediction, guys, and I think the Bills are just going to keep rolling on all cylinders. I think they're going to start out hot. I believe that it will be a try to keep up game for the Chiefs. And I think we're going to have a lot of breaks with the Chiefs trying to pass the ball so often. So my score prediction is 35-21. And the reason I say a lot of breaks because they're going to pass the ball so often. My bold prediction, I think I have Mahomes at 3 interceptions. I think the Bills are going to create turnovers. We're going to see Russo and Epinesa getting their hands up. A lot of balls being flying in the air and a lot of errant passes coming Mahomes' way. So 3 interceptions I have as a bold. And I probably one of my most realistic bold predictions I think this year. I'm so confident in that.
Wow.
Me too.
But, the big thing is that defensive edge contain to keep Mahomes in the pocket, that gap responsibility from our defensive tackles, who, guys, all 4 of them are coming into their own. They're playing wonderful these last 4 or 5 weeks. Gap responsibility, take away those gadget plays, make Mahomes be a quarterback, and we will be pretty damn successful.
Completely agree. It's crazy how we both had the same bold prediction there, Scott, but I think we're onto something here. I know for a fact it pissed off a lot of those guys on that defensive side of the ball that they were just completely overlooked and disrespected last week. We saw that little clip with Jordan Poyer saying they're dancing on our field. Their era ends now. There was a lot of choice expletives, but I can't say those. But, man, if I was in that little scrum, I would have been fired up to do what the Bills went on to do in that game, and I think they're going to bring that energy to this one as well.
Hell yeah. I was going to say, man, if you have not seen that video, please watch that video. The mic'd up of Jordan Poyer and Isaiah McKenzie from last week's playoff game is phenomenal. If you want to just hype yourself up into running through one of your walls and then doing drywall work until the game, you just watch it.
Got to keep busy.
It's a good way to do it. That's
really
for sure.
But it's I don't know. The side note, man, the Buffalo Bills social media team for the last 2 years has been absolutely killing it. We entered this new era.
Point.
Yeah, man. We entered this new era where it was the separation between players and fans and what's acceptable and what's not, and it was this guarded secret that football players swore, and and you didn't want to show too much emotion or whatever. But man, I love all this stuff, and I love that the Bills are not afraid to do it. Josh Allen was on the McAfee show, and McAfee was talking about Jordan Poyer before he got on, and he was just like, man, did you see that video of Jordan Poyer talking about dancing on the field and all that stuff? And the guys were like, yeah, and he goes, man, I know the Bills didn't put that out, but that's some that was some crazy stuff. And the guys were like, no, the Bills did post that.
They did post that,
McAfee lost his mind, that's awesome. That is awesome. Yeah, it is, man. All you're doing is feeding the fire and psyching up a bunch of lunatics and being
putting
all right,
gas
man.
on the fire for sure.
Yeah. Dude, changing gray face mask to white face mask, what? Nobody should care about that. We care about it, and they knew that we cared about it, and they did it. You know,
They made a whole video about it.
Yeah. The Bills are like the first open source Linux-based team where you could just like take all this input from outside sources and they just make it better and better and better.
I think they're the only team in the NFL, like social media-wise, that actually listens to their fans, and that their fans have a crucial relationship that kind of, lends itself to the future. I with the face mask thing, with all the support for Josh Allen. I mean, the support for Josh Allen that in and of itself has been legendary as far as how that started to where it is now with the Oshai Children's Hospital wing dedicated to his grandmother, Patricia Allen. Like, that's the stuff. Honestly, I've watched stuff like that. It brings a genuine tear to my eye, seeing the success that this guy's had in this community.
I mean, as far as getting the fans involved, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't the Pagulas put out a questionnaire to the season ticket holders asking them what they would think about or recommend or request for a stadium?
Yes, that did happen.
I mean, that's crazy.
All my friends actually showed me their letters, and some of them were kind of differently worded. It wasn't just the same generic, stuff. So that's pretty cool too.
Sign.
Right, right.
So guys, go ahead.
Sorry. Well, I was gonna say just like about the dome, not dome thing. I understand like everybody's opinion on it, and when I look at it, and the older I get, and whatever, I'm like, wouldn't it just be nice to be cozy and watch a football game? And then I have the opportunity to go to the AFC Championship game in Buffalo if they win today, and I don't. This is gonna get a little rough.
Say it.
I don't give a fuck at all.
You're hoping it's snowy.
I don't care if we're playing in a pool. Like, it doesn't matter to me. I cannot wait to be there. And I think everybody that went last week and endured all that stuff, dude.
Props to them.
Oh, my God. Awesome. And like, you're part of history. That game is historic. Not just in Buffalo, but the NFL. From start to end. And to even who attended. Like, it just, I don't know, man.
And that stadium was full, and there was so many articles saying, "Oh, we don't know if we're going to sell it out. People are selling their tickets." That stadium was full to the rafters. It was. Awesome.
I don't think I saw any miserable faces there either.
No.
So, it is what it is. I'm all for. I'm all for home field advantage, guys, and I do believe the Mafia alone gives you the advantage, but that weather is such a. It's an advantage. We can't take that away by putting a dome up. Cannot do that. Guys, we're 6 hours away from the AFC Divisional playoff matchup against the Buffalo Bills and Kansas City Chiefs. My favorite announcers are playing Jim Nantz and Tony Romo right now. They're the announcers. And I completely forgot that they announced the last year's AFC Championship game.
They did.
They did. They did a great job. I want to remind people you got a couple more minutes to leave a comment to have a chance at winning that Devin Singletary autographed, signatured, autographed and signatured, same thing. Picture.
Are you going to sign it too?
I'm going to sign it too. A couple more minutes, guys. You leave a comment, you're entered to win. Reminder that the K-Gun Report is on Tuesdays at 8:00 every Tuesday. We got a big announcement.
Big guest coming up this Tuesday.
Special guest John Fina is going to join us, and hopefully we will be talking Bills victory and Bills AFC Championship football game. Sunday sessions, of course, we're always on 11:30. Obviously, if it's a Saturday, do they have Saturday AFC Championship games or championship games there?
I think there's one on each day, right?
Is there one on each day?
Yeah,
okay.
One on each day.
All right, so pay attention when Sunday sessions comes up because it might be a Saturday, and then yeah, guys, this is exciting times. We've had our first beers. We got to wait a little while, obviously. But, both you guys send us off by telling us, again, where we could find you, how you can listen to our podcasts and live streams. And we'll get headed to that first game for the Sunday here shortly.
I'll take this one first.
Go ahead, buddy.
Sounds good. Okay.
Scotty kind of mumbled off. He's thinking about the game.
I am. I'm starting to get excited about the game.
So when you said 6 hours away, I was like, oh my God, it literally is 6 hours away. And I'm thinking, I got nothing to do. I'm just literally probably going to play Madden or something like that. Maybe play this game in Madden.
There you go.
We'll see. But yeah, folks, I greatly appreciate you guys having me on the show. As always, it's always a treat being on with you guys and discussing the team that we love and have rooted for since our first heartbeat. I think we could all say. And as I mentioned earlier, you guys mentioned it too. If the Bills win and they host the AFC title game, the first time since January of 1992, I wasn't even in existence yet. I was a bun in the oven, and a few months later, I was out. So here I am. Here now on the show 29 years later talking about it. And I think that this is going to be an awesome game. But to follow me on my social media, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Ryan Thomas Take. My podcast is the Thomas Take Sports Podcast. I'll be on shortly. That's probably what I will do in the 6 hours that I have in between the game. I'll be hopping on my show, streaming it live on the Thomas Take YouTube channel as well as Facebook. So you guys can join me on there and fire away some comments, of course, previewing this game on my show as well. Just riding solo dolo and making it happen. Go Bills, guys. I'm pumped up.
Hell yeah.
Let's do it. Let's win this one.
Ryan's blood pressure's coming up. It's coming up. I can see it. Swank!
Yeah, man. So you can follow me at Swank247BF on the tweets. And, we got all sorts of social media at 24/7 Buff Fandemonium. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Spread the love about this the group and that kind of thing. We're still trying to find ways to grow our YouTube page. I don't know what the hell is going on over there, but there's some weird algorithm stuff or something.
You ain't kidding. Facebook page. There's a big post I put out of our 8,000 members and all the friends I have on my list. It's only reached like 320 people reached, which means they're not even putting it out there.
They want you to spend money and I don't know. We've grown the page organically, and to me that pays more dividends because people are invested and they find something that they like, they stick with something that they like. You're not trying to buy votes, so
you guys ran a poll too. You ran a poll too, asking how do the viewers, fans like to listen or view the show, and it was like 78% were saying Facebook. Like Facebook is a underrated force as far as these shows. People can chime in, comment.
Yeah.
You guys are doing giveaways during the show, so why not?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Thanks, Ryan. Thomas.
Yeah.
So, man, just enjoy today. We talk about it all the time. It took a long time to get here, to get comfortable. Don't get complacent in the fact that it still was 17 years between this last little grouping, right? And, it could all be over. I watched Aaron Rodgers walk off the field yesterday, and it literally hit me like as much as my opinion of him personally has changed a little bit over like the last year probably. I respect his game. I respect his talent. And he could literally not be playing for the Packers ever. That could have been his last game in Green Bay, which is like the end of an era. It's kind of the same thing with Big Ben, same thing with Breeze last year. You got this like pocket of quarterbacks that are getting older and this new guard's coming in, which I'm very grateful for. But these guys that we watched throwing the ball for like the last 15 years, a lot of them are starting to go away. So all I could think about with Aaron Rodgers was like, I don't want to see Josh walk out like that. I don't want to see that. Ryan Tannehill I don't care about, but
Jimmy Garoppolo either. Oh my God, what a joke that we were off the air and I'm like, that dude acted like he was Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady. I'm like, dude, you did zero to win that, nothing to help them win that game. If anything, you almost lost them the game.
Yeah. Yep. They should put Debo in with his messed up knee to be quarterback for the whole fucking game. Then
he'd probably do better.
George Kittle catching passes an inch off the ground.
That's what I couldn't believe. Like at first, I was like, some of those receivers were like, "Come on, man, this is a playoff game. Like, catch that ball." And then that was only like 5 passes, and I'm like, "Where the hell's Garoppolo putting this ball?" Like, he's lucky.
A place where only the receiver can catch it.
Yeah, he's lucky that the secondary for the Titans is so bad because he put like 3 balls right in their hands. And it's like the guys couldn't even believe that they were like, oh my God. Oh, well, no, not that one. But yeah, anyway, sorry. This isn't a 49ers show. Sunday Sessions with Scott and Swank, 49ers edition, right after this one.
Hey guys, Fandemonium Mafia, thanks for joining us again on Sunday Sessions. We love this. We love the interaction. You guys are all entered for a chance to win that awesome picture. And tune into our. We'll have a game thread going on on 24/7 Buff Fandemonium group. Come on in and talk to us about the game. We'll be there. All right, guys. Thanks. Great show. Thanks for joining us, you two. And
Hell yeah.
6 hours is a long way away. Go Bills!
Go Bills.
Go Bills!
This is a dangerous group.